Hello, my name is Josh Stanish, and this is my Theory to Practice unit. As I look back on the teachers that I had that were very influential in my lifetime, they all seem to have the same common traits. They were always very enthusiastic about being a teacher. I believe that's important. If you are not enthusiastic about being a teacher, you should probably find a different career. They also had a wide range of knowledge, which was very important because the more you know about all kinds of things, the more trust you will develop with your students, and trust is an amazing tool that you will have in your toolbox. Also, we need to understand that we are their mentors and not their friends. That's a fine line, but it's a very, very important thing about a teacher. They also were always very inventive in what lessons they taught and how they taught them. Even if they had to use a textbook, they always found a way to make it interesting, and they did it by being inventive on how they teach it. They didn't read straight from the book. And lastly, they always had empathy for their students, and empathy is something that I think is very important to develop in your classroom. It's what I'm going to base my whole class management style on. I'm going to use the Lawrence Kohlberg's 6 levels of moral development, which is a humanist learning theory, something I've read quite a bit about and looked into. I really like it because it has flexibility and understands that people are going to jump between the levels each time they deal with a different situation. But I will want my students to always achieve for that top level where they have a personal code of behavior and they follow it. I think it's important for them to understand that in everything they do in life. I believe in setting very high expectations in my classroom. I think expectations are something that students will strive to achieve, and the higher you set them, the more they can achieve. So never believe that children can't do something, because they will amaze you and they are able to do things that you would never think they could. As far as a humanist theorist, I don't believe in a whole lot of strict and stringent rules, but I do like this acronym that I've developed. A couple of things in it is that children need to respect themselves, respect their students in their school, their peers. They need to respect the school itself, and they also need to respect their community. Those are things that are very important for everybody to learn in life. Having younger children, something I see a lot is that children tend to use their emotions much more than they do their voice. I want them to understand that if they use a calm voice, they're probably going to get a lot further than if they let their emotions override everything else. I also believe that listening is an essential skill that we all need to learn how to do better. And I want my students to develop and learn how to listen so that they learn, not so that they're going to respond to somebody. It's an important thing with me. I also believe that with my high expectations that they will put effort in that exceeds and goes beyond those expectations that I've set. And I also want them to develop stamina in all the work that they do. As far as my classroom, I plan on having a classroom that inspires. I love quotes. I think quotes are very inspirational, and I will have quotes that change and are throughout my room on a regular basis, so that students can maybe find some of that inspiration I found in what people have to say. And I think that comes back to being a good listener and listening to learn. One thing I've noticed in all of my classroom experiences is that lots and lots of learning time gets lost to transitions from one activity to another. This is a setup of desks that I found that I really like. It makes it so all of the materials that students will need are right there in front of them. They won't have to get up and move around. It also sets the desks up in a form where the students can be looking ahead. If we're doing a mini lesson or if we're working in a workshop model, it's easy for me to get around to them and talk to them. So I really like this setup of the desks. As far as teaching and integrating language arts in the Common Core in the classroom, I believe language arts are everywhere. Language arts is essential for all subjects that we do. Math is relying heavily on story problems. Science, we need to read. History, we need to read. All of our subjects need reading and writing for them to be a subject that we're going to learn and that we're going to be able to articulate to other people. So I believe that it's really important that we do teach kids things like reading and writing, speaking and listening skills. As far as reading, I had a project when I was younger. It was called Reading Rockets. Basically, as you finished a book, the teacher would give you a rocket. You got to post it on the wall, and the more books you read, the higher your rockets stacked, and you tried to get them up onto the ceiling. So it provided both those intrinsic rewards that I believe in as a humanist. It also provided some extrinsic rewards that behaviorists may use, which I don't think are always bad, and you need to understand that sometimes you're going to have to adopt other theories to make your classroom work the best. As far as writing, I believe that journal prompts are important, But with both reading and writing, they have to be things that the students choose. As a humanist, that student-centered learning is very important to me, and I believe giving your students the choice to pick what they would like to read and write is an important part of them developing the lifelong love of both reading and writing. As far as speaking, my philosophy of using the Kohlberg's model is going to really help with the speaking in the classroom. I want students to be comfortable in our classroom, and I want other students to be able to listen to them and not respond to them, so that people can develop those speaking skills. And then listening, like I said, I think it's one of the most important skills in life that even as adults we all can work on. Listening to learn is an important thing. We all tend to want to listen to respond because it's easier to respond than it is to listen. So I think that's an important skill we need to work on. And to kind of wrap it up here, one of my favorite books is To Kill a Mockingbird. I believe highly in what Atticus Finch did in raising his children. One of the quotes that I think really sums it up well, he was talking to his daughter Scout, and he said, "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb inside his skin and walk around in it." And then one of my most inspirational teachers that I've read every book he has and every article I can find on him is a teacher out of California named Rafe Esquith. And he kind of wraps up what I believe is a teacher's job. And he says, if we ask great things of our children, we must show them great things are possible. Your students will amaze both you and themselves as they flourish in the safe haven you have built. Thank you for joining me, and have a good day.